frapper, se faire du chacatement. Négro, votre place n'est pas ici, c'est au Parlement.
Good afternoon. I want some responses. What we do in the Congo is, if I say, SwitchPoint, oye, then you respond to oye. SwitchPoint, oye, oye. Go conscious, oye, oye. I'm Godi Godar, and this is Simon. My name is Moteke Molanga Mosika Moliki Naboka Ibosuku Wekende Kelankangeria Kankwansusu. I'm going to stop it there, but that's the reason why they call me Godi Godar. But anyway, at age 11, growing up in a region of the Democratic Republic of Congo, in the Latumba region, I have a dream, and one day I will leave the country and move to somewhere unknown country. And one day, the missionary came to the United States, Dean DeBoer, and he was working with the Habitat for Humanity. And right after he returned back to the United States, before he returned back to the United States, my grandfather, he was the chief in the village, in a small village I grew up, and they introduced us. So we become good friends, and the dean now is more like my father. So he invited me to come to the United States. Here I am, coming to America. Have you seen that movie? I arrived in New York, and my first impressions was the immigrations, like immigrants, moved to the United States. He asked me, how much money do you have in your pocket? I said, I have $20. He says, $20? I said, yes. He says, what are you going to do with the $20? I said, in my country, and at that time it used to be called Zaire. It's a lot of money in my country. I can live off $20 at least 1 month. And he laughed at me. And I thought, like, well, anyway. So again, he asked me, he wondering what I'm doing here. And then he asked me, do you know anybody in the United States? He says, Dean, yeah, Dean is supposed to be here to pick me up. And I did not speak the language at all. And there was a translator, the French guy, and they came and they found a translator. So they went find the dean. And the dean came and said, do you know this guy? He says, yes. He says, my son. He looked at me, he looked at Dean. This is your son? He stamped, said, yes, tourist visa, take your son away. And we left the airport. As we were driving from airport, and then I looked around. I came in 1987. I looked around in October. Looked around, American trees, they look dead. And then I asked Dean, he says, why all the American trees are dead? They laugh so hard. They says, no, they're not dead, they're just sleeping. And I told them, I'm hungry, I need something to eat. And then we went to drive through a restaurant. And then they went to the microphone and they talk, and they said, exchange the words. And then we drove it through, and then I look at the bats coming through the window. It's like a magic. And then I opened the box, and there was a giant Kentucky Fried Chicken drumstick, as big as like a turkey. I was like, holy smoke, wow. And then so much stories that I learned, and I went to school, English as a second language, and then I was able to study auto mechanics at the Durham Tech, and I became a mechanic. And the same dream I had back home, and therefore it was a moment I went, my mom passed away in 2012. I went there, and we talk about the problems that is happening in the Latumba region. So I went there on her funeral. The first impressions that I arrived in New York City, in the Congo, Kinshasa. Kinshasa looked like a dump. I was so terrified and I cried most of the time. And then I went to visit the office of environment office in the DRC. I said I wanted to pursue, to claim the land rights for my people. And then I flew back, before I flew back to United States, and I met with some of the people work with the conservation in the office. I talked to them about I wanted to preserve the land and then register the land rights. Then this section I was going to get from north side of the Latumba. It was a Chinese businessman who was already involved in that place. Therefore, I said, what's going on here? He says, my cousin worked there. He says, don't worry about that. We're going to push your document to go through fast enough, so therefore they will not have a chance. I said, that sounds great. So I came back to the United States. I founded the organization called Go Conscious Earth. So therefore, after I founded, and the Minister of Environment invited me in 2013, last month, a year, we went back with some of my board members with the GCE, and we were able to meet up with the government officials, and they sent the delegations to Latumba to travel with us. As we were going, and we find out that a lot of problems with the logging companies, and that was pretty devastating. And the people in the Latumba, they were having a very difficult time because the logging companies got involved, and deforestation is getting really big time. And this is the office in Kinshasa. Then we end up establish the local NGO, Dilo Assistance, which is we are working with in Kinshasa now, preserving the rainforest. So we worked it out and flew back to Kinshasa, and then we were able to talked a little bit and with the Minister of Environment. He says, don't worry, I'm backing you up. These people in this region, they're the one who elected me and to become a Minister of Environment. And I will do anything in my power to preserve this rainforest for you. And then one of my buddies is wonderful. He loves hugging trees. And we were able to get the tribal people and the photos. This tree is amazing. It was unbelievable. The rainforest, the Congo Basin, is the largest rainforest in the world, and second largest rainforest in the world. I'm sorry. So besides the Amazon, and it's our long today. And if this forest goes, there is no chance. And for us, we have to sustain and to sustain these forests, and for the people and for the global crisis. And the reason why is that we preserving the rainforest, and not just the preserving the rainforest, but we wanted to sustain and the program that it will sustain people in that region. Therefore, providing clean water. So that's our second goal. Just a couple of weeks ago, we received a letter from government officials that he signed the document So we are now access to 1 million acres, almost 1 million acres for preservation. So we find out the water is very critical. Without water, there's no life. Now we're running a campaign to provide village drill. So in a couple of months, I'm going back and to provide the water for the people there. I remember growing up as a child, I got sick most of the time because of the water contaminations. And I asked one day my parents, I says, why the African people, they have a tendency to have so many children? The reason why they have that many children because you have 10 children, and at least one of them will make it. The rest will die by conditions of water contaminations or other different difficulty in lives. So, and from that moment, just the last month, I was able to travel to Kenya. The same things, and I traveled with my church, and we were deworming the children in the community. And then at that moment, I remember getting sick because of water contamination. So after preserving almost 1 million acres, that's just a start. But we need a community of the world because that forest and the rainforest, to me, it's like the lung of our planet. I can give you one example. I'm an auto mechanic now, but you think about, you have engines, the car you're driving today. If you not putting water on it to cool down that engine, what happened to that engine? It's going to die. That's the way the rainforest operates. It's like an unbelievable cooling system to our planet. And then if you want, you really seriously, and you love your children as well, you need to wisely think about how to make that engine to run, and it's for your children. Maybe you can pass on to your children and for the next generation, because if you blow that engine today, there is no chance for the future generation, and you can do it. SwitchPoint is, it's all about the messages today. Sometimes we come here and we express our passions and stuff. It comes from our mouth, but if you're not speaking from a heart, that is just a big illusion. You have to have a way how to put it in action. Otherwise, the words from my mouth, I can speak it today, whatever, and you listen to me. But if you're not speaking from a heart with the love and the compassion, it doesn't matter what you're saying. And that's how it takes place to change the world today and for tomorrow. I travel many places in the villages while I was there. There was a lot of problem with the health care. And that kid right there, he needed, he never walked. The wounds, these kids, they don't have any problem and to go seek the medical care. And this kid, child, 1 year old, he was having, I believe probably says elephantitis, maybe. I am not a doctor, but he needed help. If we cannot help them, it's going to be harder time. This kid right there, 11 years old, and I was terrified. 4 months with the tooth infection. And then now, the whole region of Latumba, there was no doctor, no physicians that can take care of him. And then we were running down the money, and we decided, well, this is Go Conscious is all about the change. And we took that kid to next town. He was able to see the physicians in Bandaka. And we were so terrified, we thought he's going to die on us because maybe infection is going to end up and hit his brain and die. And we saved his life. And I follow up with that kid, and he survived. And many problems like that. And today, I'm writing a book of my story. If you wanted to find out who I am and what I do, I'm looking for the publishers, and they look after my speech, then they find me, and they help us, please. We have an expression in Africa. It's a text. It needs 5 fingers. 1 finger cannot do alone. It needs 5 of them and to do the job. I need all of you today. Speak from your heart, and then everything will be okay. Simon can give some of the extra words, please.
So first of all, climate change is something that's happening. We're using up natural resources at a pace that is unsustainable. And so with that, we're asking everybody to join us. You're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, follow us. Our organization is about 3 years old, and we need everyone's support. As Godar said, 1 finger can't do the job, but if we can get everyone and the community to help us to go back and to save this precious land. The rainforest, deforestation, and just everything that's happening in Congo, and you hear all these bad things. And really what we're trying to do is bring out the good in it. And so, there is a lot of life there still. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of individuals who are, just full of just passion and want to see things change. And for us over here in the US, there's several things that we take for granted on a regular basis. And what I'm asking is, let's shift consciousness, let's switch points, and take a look and see, how we can help. And some of those things that we take for granted, whether it be clean drinking water or even medical care, how we can help others get the same type of basic human needs. And so with that, I thank you for your time. Thanks SwitchPoint for inviting us up to speak at this wonderful conference. And please go on Facebook, check us out on our website. We have the t-shirts there, and we'd be happy to connect with you in any way we can. Thank you.
The last more point. The conflicts is happening in the DRC in the east of the region because of what? Again, the precious minerals, and it's all used on our electronic devices today. And to prevent the same scenario happening there, that's why the Go Conscious Earth is raising that awareness. If we don't do that, what happens if they find out that almost that million acres we preserve? Again, it's going to cause the same scenario of the people all over the world. Thank you again.